Okay, if you are selling this autumn, this is definitely the show for you to listen to. This is all about the 5 gold selling secrets now of the most underrated season in the whole of the planet, the whole of the world. It's like autumn is definitely the most underrated season. I would say definitely 5 gold selling secrets. We're going to be talking about them. Sophie's on, Perry's on. We're going to give you insights into this as well and exactly what you should be doing. We're even going to talk about if you're selling a new year and what you should do towards the end. So that's key as well. If you are selling a new year, well, you're probably going to want to start that journey now. Definitely. So autumn really gets a bad rap for this selling season for your home, and it's always pushed back behind the blossom of spring, the sunshine of summer, and the festive magic of winter. But autumn is might what you call a hidden gem of a season to sell. It's still plenty of activity for buyers, and the leaves are turning into a bold, beautiful display of colour. Um, and 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 there are no stressful deadlines like Christmas and school years to meet. Instead, autumn can be quite a relaxed season for starting to plan your move overall. And even with the home selling quickly, the average timescale for moving home remains around about 4 to 5 months, which gives you time and space. You need to plan your spring move to perfection without feeling rushed or frazzled. Now, if you're thinking about moving and thought that you should wait until the new year to put your home in the market, then this one is definitely for you, as I said before. Just click on the link. You can read this in a highlight if you want, what we're going to discuss here. So you can click on the link above or below here and just go straight to that and read along with us, by the way. Or you can get a real good insight just listening to the podcast if you're not actually watching us online right now. Perry, I'm going to come to you first about the first secret of the 5 gold selling secrets. What is that? Go and give us an insight into this.
You touched a little bit on colour, hence I've gone with autumn today.
Perfect.
I thought I would match in.
I'm just the usual drab.
I thought I'd match in and add a little bit of autumn colour today. So I think the first key thing is to catch your buyers at a timely moment. Autumn is when the seeds of many a move are sown, and we definitely see that. And often, actually, it becomes a bit of an unexpected thing. Perhaps the kids have changed schools.
There you go, talking about unexpected.
That's Joe getting a star show as usual. After seizing every opportunity to get outside the summer, from enjoying the garden, of course, lovely colours, to your picnics, which everyone's been enjoying just now. Going to the park. How many times have you enjoyed doing the park at the moment? Maybe going to the terrace on a pub.
Yeah.
Perhaps nip in autumn sends us retreating back into our warm space, doesn't it? So it's quite nice to have that as well, isn't it? So definitely. For me, definitely, I can sense the difference in the air in the mornings, and it's definitely a time for you relaxing, enjoying your indoor space. Your candles and everything are starting to come on as well, which I quite like. So you get that warm, fuzzy feeling this time of year. So definitely for me, it's all about being in the warm. But as we spend more time indoors again, we start to actually see and pay more attention to what's happening in our home, don't we? I think we've been outside for such a long time that suddenly you're back indoors and you think, is this all working for me? So it's a good way to actually begin to notice the things that maybe you're feeling a little bit squeezed about because you're now all back indoors. Remember, you've had another year as well of your children growing. So maybe where they were maybe 10, 11, they're maybe 12, 13, 14, young teenagers, young adults. And suddenly, actually, you think as they get older, I don't know about you, Jim, if you did this with your family, but I certainly felt that as they got older, we'd have more space. But actually, we didn't. Yes, you got rid of all the plastic that was in your house, but actually, they created more room for themselves and took up more space in the house, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've definitely seen that. And we felt more squeezed. So I think maybe the living room, for instance, you're all kind of coming together on an evening watching a movie indoors. That starts to feel smaller, doesn't it? After being in those wide open spaces of the summer and being outdoors. Or the children are now playing back in the house as well. They're no longer in the garden.
Yeah, we're never needing a living room the same size as what Sophie's got.
Yeah, exactly.
The grand piano in the background.
Absolutely. But you definitely notice that when everyone comes back indoors, and you've not got that sense of privacy and quiet in your spaces either, because everyone's congregating in the same room in the evenings. Perhaps even you're working from home, and that feels different now than evenings spent inside as well as all day indoors as well, aren't you? So you kind of started work in the morning when it's dark, you're kind of getting to the end of the day and it's dark, and you probably feel you've been on a bit of a cycle. You maybe don't have that luxury of maybe, say, a garden room, which might just change things for you for your working space. But whatever the reason for considering a move, this is definitely going to give you some ideas about how you can work around that. And this is really where it all starts, isn't it? So what does everyone do? Even the slightest thought of buying a new home, they head straight online to the portals. I know I did it.
Yeah.
You get that idea, you think, right, what am I going to do? You get your phone out, you get maybe your laptop out, you go straight to the portals, and you kid yourself on that I'm just going to check my options. Because there's also a thing in your head that makes you feel a little bit like this is going to be a lot of effort and stress to move. And not everyone necessarily wants to do that. But you go and have a wee look-see, and then that's kind of your starting point. But before you know it, the home of your dreams just scrolls right into your view.
Somebody like us pops up on social media and says, "This is the property for you."
Exactly.
And then they're hooked.
Have I got the one for you? Wait till I show you. So absolutely, you'd be surprised just how many moves happen just like this. And autumn often is that trigger because everyone has come back indoors. So you definitely see that. But there's also lots of other reasons why people move. What is the next one? It's enjoying a relaxed experience, isn't it? That's what everybody wants to do. How do they go about that one, Jim? Enjoying a relaxed experience when we know it can be stressful.
Yeah, Sophie, what's your thoughts on this about the relaxed experience? Is that something that a lot of sellers that you've seen recently that they're looking for? Is that what they're looking after, or even buyers themselves?
They are looking for more relaxed experience. Absolutely. That is the aim. We want it to be as stress-free as possible. However, many people move into such a strict deadline and potentially like immovable dates actually ends up causing you so much more stress associated with, especially if you're buying and selling all in the one and you're putting such a strict time frame on yourself. Then you are obviously creating extra pressures because actually trying to orchestrate a move for perhaps, say, the start of the school year. And if you think the start of the school year is stressful enough, especially if you've got a wee one that's maybe going to the first year of high school, but you're also thinking, that's when I'm going to move. It's already quite a emotional and upheaval as it is. So if that's one of your deadlines, or if perhaps you want to be in the new home for Christmas, for example, because you've got
you've mentioned the word.
family.
You mentioned it. Oh my God. It's like, what? Christmas? Oh my goodness. It's like, that's it. We've been earlier than Debenhams to mention. It's like our Tesco's or that. We've probably been mentioning Christmas way before them. But you're absolutely right. I mean, what else do we have to think about then? I mean, what's the other things that we've got to concentrate on?
So you also need to concentrate on the activity and actually what's going to be happening in the market in those particular times in terms of properties hitting the market. How long perhaps is the average selling time in that particular like micro region, for example? Does that also put pressure on? Because you need to think about the chain and actually what that involves in terms of your solicitors' workloads, mortgage lenders, for example, and conveyancers, and actually trying to get all these moving components to come together into your one strict deadline that you've put on yourself isn't going to help if you're wanting this enjoyed, relaxed experience. But from the end of the kind of we'll say September, the kind of mania subsides and the school year is well underway, and anyone needing to be in for Christmas, I hope has already found their home, because if you want to be in for Christmas, I hope you've already found your home and it is locked in.
Well, look at it right now. When you think about the logic of it, we're saying 4 or 5 months. This is, we're in August just now. August, September, October, November, December, January. That's 5 months.
I know.
So effectively, for some people, it's going to be a big push, especially if you've got a chain, of houses, and you don't get. I mean, cash buyers are few and far between nowadays. Long gone is that ship sailed already. But if you want to be in before Christmas, you really need to act right now. And if you're listening to this in September or October, then you're going to struggle, definitely. So you need to go right now if that's the case.
I think as well for financial planning as well, there becomes a timeline here. And I was actually working this out the other day because I suddenly thought my Christmas list got so much bigger because I've got my grandson, and I was thinking, right, okay, we need to start mapping this out. And then I realised if you're monthly paid, it's only 4 more months till Christmas. Yep. So you're only going to get 4 more pays. So it's the same if you're planning your finances, if you're thinking about moving home as well. You know, if you're working to your budget, you've got 4 more salaries till the end of the year.
Yeah.
That's quite scary thought, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So what other things do we think about then, Sophie, if that's the case? You know, what we've got to incorporate into this?
Well, you also then need to think about your buyers as well, because actually, in case you are wondering, the level of inquiries from Fife buyers is actually still extremely high right now. And we say that as much as like we can look back at our website and yes, we've got last year's and it gives us a great insight, but even now we have still got a lot of Fife buyers and a lot of people staying within Fife, but actually they're upsizing or perhaps they're downsizing or they're perhaps getting on the property ladder. But parents in particular find viewings far easier and less stressful when they perhaps don't have the kids in tow. Maybe not for the first initial viewing anyway, maybe perhaps for the second one you want to take them back so the kids can pick their rooms and get a feel for the place and get an idea of the garden. But for that first initial viewing, you probably don't want the little voices screaming about the rooms. You want it to be a really relaxing viewing. But obviously this year's unsatisfied demand has kept the market strong with ready and waiting buyers for every type of Fife home.
I would say so, definitely, and it's right across the whole of Scotland, isn't it? I mean, in the areas of Dundee and Perth and Edinburgh and Glasgow as well, overall, not just alone Fife. But it's interesting you talked about microregions and how that differs, because, for example, if we take St Andrews in Fife, that's a classic example. It takes longer because it's a higher price point. And there's a lot more new build appearing in that area as well. And on average, when you work out the amount of people that buy every month compared to the amount of properties getting sold or built in new stock, there's a disparity, and that's what pushes out the timeline for that. So you know that could take a lot more than the average of 4 to 5 months. Equally, when you go to other areas which are actually really popular, they can be really quick. A lot quicker. So that's why it's an average between 4 and 5 months. But it's interesting. Could be, I mean, when you think about it, I think the next one in line, I mean, we've talked about enjoying the relaxed experience and how that should happen. You need to speak to a good agent who's really good at that. I mean, obviously, we're good agents at this. We know that anyway. I mean, this is an Esther's thing. This is our customers vote for us, and sitting at 100%. I mean, that's going to tell you you're pretty good at what you do if they're giving you that feedback, and that's independent. But I think it's all about really as well as selling with less competition at this time of year. And that's what the one of the years when it comes into quieter months, what people call the so-called quieter months, I'm thinking, my God, this is the best time to sell for that very reason. Because you've got less competition. Everybody ploughs their house on the market in spring, and then they put it on the market in summer because everything's in full bloom. But what happens when it comes to autumn is the gardens start to turn golden browns and oranges, and they just look so. I think the word succulent. The way everything uses, I would say, the way everything comes out, and you know yourself, if you look at an autumn picture, it just looks absolutely beautiful.
Just so vibrant, isn't it?
Yeah, vibrant's probably the right word. And if you've ever looked at things like the property portals and stuff like that, in the peak selling seasons of spring and summer, you remember how many hundreds, if not thousands of homes, depending on what areas you're looking at right across Scotland, you need to scroll through before you actually hopefully find the one you like. I mean, it's absolutely mental out there sometimes at these times of year. But this is why I love autumn so much for selling, because it is a more relaxed season, but it gives a seller the golden opportunity that sometimes there's less supply and there's more buyers still there. Because the buyers have still got access to their phones all the time. They've still got notifications on their phones all the time. And if your dream home comes up, you're not going to go, oh, well, I tell you what, I'm not going to buy it because it's no spring. you're going to jump in there straight away, and because you've got the usual people jumping in and your dream home's jumping in when it is a buyer, then the sellers are a real good advantage at the fact that potentially closing dates, opportunities for putting mini closing dates as well, and just saying, look, we've got 2 good people ready to go, just give me your best bid by 5 o'clock today. And then we'll just put it to bed and stuff like that. And that's the type of things you can do at that time of year. So with so many listings to get through, it can be easy to actually pick to miss that perfect home, and no other reason than just sheer volume for that time, for all these other times. Then there's the task of actually getting around to seeing everything at that point in time, which can feel like an impossible with so much available. It makes sound marketing sense, doesn't it, to list your home when the sale of competition is smaller? I think
100%.
I think that's key overall. And the chances you being noticed are actually greater as a result. And you'll also find it much easier to stand out and shine when you're not in competition with a crowd of other properties. It kind of are similar or in a similar price point, but maybe a wee bit better looking. Maybe just they're more photogenic more than anything. And that could make a fundamental difference. So that's why autumn is a really good time of year to do that. Buyers offer faster when there's fewer reasons to stop them from making a decision. So there's other properties that they've not seen because they're not in the market because of the lack of supply at that time of year. Then there's a golden opportunity for you to take advantage of that as a seller, I would say. So most sellers, just to finish off on this subject, will actually wait until the new year, believe it or not, put the home in the market. That's quite interesting. So it's now your chance to hog the limelight in autumn, I would say, definitely. And agree a sale and get your move underway. That's all you want to do, really, when it comes down to it, don't you?
Absolutely. So, everyone's got a reason for why they're moving, aren't they? And I've actually had it already. People saying, "I'm actually going to wait till spring because the garden's on the turn and spring's going to be better." And my advice is, whoa, hang on. If you do that, you're going to have so many more people to compete with. This is the ideal time. Everyone else is thinking the same thing. Absolutely. And so if you wait, you're going to be there and your buyers have got so much more choice. You're going to be competing for that buyer. Now there are buyers that are still there, as you've said, Jim. Perfect opportunity for you to shine and get yourself marketed now. Absolutely. I would not be waiting till spring if it were me.
Yeah. So then this then comes to then the fourth one that we recommended. What is the fourth of the 5 gold selling secrets for autumn then, Perrie?
I think for me, when it comes to autumn, I just love the warmth that comes with autumn. It's very inviting, the time of year, isn't it? You've got the kind of chill outside. You start to feel the chill inside as well. We've had such a warm summer this year as well that absolutely you're starting to notice the autumn evenings and mornings coming in. That chill is there, but it doesn't get much better when you're actually in your home and it's framed by all the dazzling golden leaves, perhaps of the great trees that you've got outside with that crisp blue sky, because it's a nice sunny days and we still got lots of sunshine in autumn as well, but the garden still looks as nice, I think, and actually can look a bit more lush than it does in the summer months because the trees and the bushes are maybe too green. And by that I mean that they're really full, aren't they? And you don't necessarily see as much sky, but now you've got that kind of, you've got the luster of the leaves coming, they're all turning, they're golden colours, the sky's coming through them, and it just makes everything look so much brighter. But it's just such a wonderful colour time of year for me as well, when you get to coordinate your seasons, which I like, as I have demonstrated.
I actually think, absolutely. I actually think autumn is a more advantageous season for photographs.
I do.
I like it better, and it's because there's softer tones and there's more. It's like what you say, the word vibrant, the reds and the oranges and the yellows and the greens, and it all kind of mixes into each other, and it feels relaxed. I actually love autumn as well, because I don't know about you, but I always find that sometimes the best weather actually appears in autumn.
It does. And definitely when we do our videography work as well, I feel that you get better colours in the autumn, because sometimes in the summer months, you go into certain rooms when we're doing our videography and you're almost apologising for the people because the rooms are so bright with that sunshine coming through. The view can get a bit
The
distorted.
white balance goes out, yeah.
Yeah, just a wee mini second that the balance kind of goes out and the camera has to adjust, which is great because it's evidence that there's a lot of lovely sunshine that comes into the rooms, but it can distort it a little bit. But you don't necessarily get that so much at this time of year, which I quite like. But you're right, with all those palettes of beautiful colour, I think it really does produce some incredible and memorable photographs and videos, I think, of their houses. Whether it's...
Do you know what Sorry, but do you know what I love about this time of year? And you're probably the same as me, Perrie, and I'm getting excited for it. But our properties that have got log burners in them, I cannot wait to get the log burners on for the viewings, hear it crackling in the background, it giving that cozy like warmth. And I love in the videos when we can have the log burners on because it has such a feature and people are just naturally drawn to them. Like this is where I get excited because we can get the log burners on and just get that feel going in the room.
It's really interesting.
It's an emotional thing, isn't it?
It is. It's emotive as well, though, because it's not just the sounds, it's how it looks. As you know, we put a log burner in last winter, and actually the television doesn't go on when it's on. You're just literally sitting and you're mesmerised by it almost, by the visuals, by the crackles. When you open the door to put more logs in, the smells, there's just something really warm and comforting about it. And I absolutely love it as well when you have them on in the properties, when you're taking people around to view them. It just looks so much nicer. And interestingly, I said that to Billy. I said, last night, I said, I'm quite excited. This is what we're getting the log burner on soon because it does make a difference. And he's like, the sun's still out at the moment. I said, yeah, but not for long. You could feel it coming. But you're right. I mean, whether it's the look from the street, so again, you get some lovely vibrant colours as well with how you can display your frontage of your property. All the beautiful violas that come out just now at this time of year, I love them because they're purples and yellows and they're just so vibrant. It looks lovely. So you can definitely dress the front of your house. The look across your garden as well can be really fantastic for autumnal photographs, and it just makes it look really nice. The video work has a special kind of magic for me as well at this time of year, and I think it really is supremely eye-catching. But it's also equally for your buyers hard to resist because they will see those stunning gardens. And the feedback that we get from the video work that we do is very much that they feel that they've already been in the house, they've been in the garden, they feel it. And then really then by the time they're coming into the property in real time, for them it's they want to enjoy the senses and the smells and the sounds and when they've been in the garden, and that really comes across, and they're already invested because they've seen so much of the video. They've probably watched it 100 times before they've even come to the viewing, haven't they? So they're invested in the property already, and I think when you're capturing it this time of year, it gives people a real good fun way of looking at it. And also I think as well, we've gone very much Americanized with the whole Halloween season as well. So when that comes around, people are already visualizing their garden and the trees and the colors and the kids' parties that they might be having and the entertainment that they might be doing and the winter barbecues, because according to Jim, winter's the best time to do a barbecue.
Yep. Well, according to Weber Barbecues, Weber Barbecues that told me I was on their course, did a barbecue course with them, and it's like, it was the big festival, and they said that best time of year is winter, and because of the moisture in the air, it comes into barbecue, but the best place to barbecue is Scotland. Best place to barbecue in the world, according to Weber, Scotland in winter. Imagine that, eh?
I know.
We'd never have thought of that. It's
Exactly.
like everybody thinks it's all about summer. But the great thing, what I love about this time of year as well, is the light is still available at night.
Yes.
So you've still got some lighter nights still, and people can still view day to day rather than actually weekend to weekend. Because it's usually dark at night, and so it's quite difficult for them after hours to do that. So I think that's what I like about this season as well in autumn, and it changes the dynamic on curb appeal as well, as opposed to summer where it's all blue sky, everything's so bright. It's got beautiful colours, that's fine, and green grass, but then you change to that the depth of the colours now. It goes to deep colours now. It goes to, as I said before, the reds, the oranges, the yellows, the greens and the browns, and it just gives such it makes you feel relaxed. It makes you feel, when you see a really good property with curb appeal in autumn at the front, it makes you feel like you've come home.
It does, 100%. And I think as well for the sellers, and also as part of our marketing strategy, it's about making sure that we do the photography and the videography work at the right point in the day as well to capture your house the best way that we can. I think that's really important, because you want to catch that light. You want to see those fiery, radiant glows that are going around the house, because those are something, it just naturally attracts your mind and your eye, doesn't it? So I think that it's really important to do them at the right time of the day as well, not just the right season.
Definitely. And this brings us to the final one then. And let's talk about the final one. And it's like, oh my God, are we really talking about this? It's Sophie, do you want to talk about the final one, and then we'll chip in a bit as well at the same time. But this is like, wow, are we really going to talk about this one? But let's talk about this.
Yes, and this is all about getting ahead of New Year sellers. And
We're even talking about New Year now.
We've done Christmas and New Year.
That's 2025 over. Let's move on to 2026.
As easy as that. Yep. And it's true, if there's anything that we can safely rely on from the property market in Fife, it's the kind of seesaw that we sometimes see between feast and famine. And that's why we always do say as well, so we do the weekly updates every week, and then that gives you a great insight to see what is coming to market and obviously what's selling and what's getting instructed. So that does give you a great insight if you do watch that. Because 1 minute there is perhaps more homes, and then the next minute there's potentially less. And especially in different micro regions, obviously you've touched on St Andrews, and then obviously the East Neuk, for example, that obviously has its seasons as well. So you do see that, and there is a mix, between Fife and around Fife. But with that then comes the almost fear that people have, because then they see this lack of homes to buy, that potentially stops them putting their property on the market, because they go, well, I'm not seeing anything, so I'm not putting mine up, because where am I going to go? What do I do with my family? I'm not, I'm not going into rented. I'm not putting my family, I'm not moving into my parents' house. I'm not putting my stuff in storage, because that's expensive. So people automatically go, there's less on the market, I'm just going to wait till next year now. But absolutely, that's not the case. We understand and appreciate that you don't want to make your family homeless, of course. However, that is where you need to instruct an expert and an agent that knows what they're doing, and that is their then job to guide you through that process and manage it, and manage you perhaps a long entry date or an extended entry date. That is what an experienced agent will do for you, along obviously with your solicitor and keeping that communication open. But it's just about managing the entry date. But the key is to get you on the market, one, to secure your buyer, so that one, you know what you have to play with, what their offer looks like, but two, it helps you then understand their chain and what the process is. And it means you're in that best position for when a property does come up that ticks all your boxes, you can then act on it and jump fast. So you might think, oh, there's not as much, I'm just going to wait till next year. But no, absolutely not. As we've touched on, less competition. This is when you go to market. It's then our job to help you find your next home and manage that entry date.
I think as well, it gives you a bit of certainty going now. Whereas opposed to in 6 months' time, for example, you've got, we're coming up soon in November to the autumn budget for the UK. And what's pitched at that time, they're writing that potentially taxes could go up. That could have a negative effect on the property market, and it could have a negative effect on selling when it comes in the new year. Hence the reason why it's like, you've got certainty right now. So if you've got certainty, you know where you are, you're probably better to go now for that reason.
I think as well, what we see, and certainly I hear it quite frequently, and I think that people who are ready to sell, they have a fear factor that almost because they've put a for sale sign up, that they're losing control of what's happening in their situation.
My house is going to sell next week.
Yep. What am I going to do? Exactly.
It's like, well, wait a minute, you've got the conveyancing to go through first as well, and you've got the offer to go through and everything else that comes with it. Yep. And how do you know your house is going to go next week? Well, you're going to have to put it in the market to find that out, aren't you?
Absolutely. And I think there is that fear factor that they feel that suddenly they've lost control of everything. And that's what I always say to my clients. Actually, you are still in control of it. What we are doing is guiding you and giving you advice so you can make informed decisions. But we've had situations where we've managed entry dates for 10 months. We had one that it was going to be a year, and we actually brought it forward to 10 months. They had missive signed, non-refundable deposits. There's ways to capture your buyer and just give you that certainty as well that you can
lock them in. And lock them in. I think that's the most important point, because then that gives you certainty, especially if you've got an elongated entry date. It gives a commitment from both sides that, yes, we are legally going ahead with this now, and a bargain has been struck. Whereas, let's be honest. It's out there. It's like it always seems to conclude and missives almost a week before it's due to exchange and complete, which is not the greatest thing to do, because it's like it leaves the door open. It's like leaving the door open for the horse to bolt at any point in time. So you're wanting to make sure by concluding missives to close that door so the horse is going to stay where it is. That's the sort of, if I was going, that's probably the best analogy I would say in doing that. And yet, you're absolutely right, Perrie. It does take a skilled estate agent to do that.
It does, and the sellers can be fearful of that. But they've just got to take that leap of faith, and as long as you can evidence it as a skilled agent that you have done that before, you've got your case studies and you can present that to them, you actually become a partnership. It's not that the client who's selling is then losing control of the property. You're partnering with them to help them manage their life as it happens and get them onto their next dream. And that's what it's really about. And I think that there's this fear factor in some clients who think, but if I don't find something, what's going to happen? I'll be homeless. That will never happen.
The agent's going to make me sell my house.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is definitely your fear factor, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's this misconception out there that the agent is going to make me sell my house. And it's like, right, let me just put that to bed right now. No one can agree to sell your house except you. In a nutshell, that's it. No one. They cannot sell your house unless you give them permission. In other words, you say yes to an offer that's been received and then go ahead and go into conveyancing. You could easily say no if the circumstances aren't right for you, and it give you the golden opportunity. Then your agent should be able to negotiate with them and go back and say, look, we need a longer entry date, or we need anything like that. To be honest, that should have been done prior to you getting that offer, because your agent should know up front straight away what your circumstances are and what you're after. So that should be clearly spelled out before any offer comes in.
Absolutely. And if the agent is doing the right job as well, if that potential buyer is not the person that's going to work to what your timeline is and what your desired outcome is, then we find the next buyer. There isn't just one person out there. So, if it turns out that that's not the person and they can't flex, you move on to the next one. But this is what I was meaning about the fact that the seller never actually loses control, but they do have this fear factor that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, everybody does think they've got a beautiful house, don't they? And they think it will sell next week in no time at all. But I think in experience, you tend to find when you drill down to that, it's usually their friends and family have actually said, oh, your house will sell, no bother. And then my question to that is, well, how many of them are actually qualified estate agents? None. Exactly. So how would they know? How would they know? How would they know? They just, just an opinion. It's like, yeah, opinions are free. That's it. Even idiots have opinions. There, I've said it. Had to say it. It's like, it's obvious, but it's pointing out the exact obvious statement. It's like, you've got to make sure you get the right professional advice from the right people. I would say that. So let's go back to you, Sophie. What else have you got to say about this then?
No, I think in a nutshell, we're basically just saying to have your buyer in place. That's putting you in pole position to secure one of those properties. When there is less coming to market, you're putting yourself in that pole position for when one does become available. Because the vast majority of buyers are willing to wait. And that's what we're saying with these extended entry dates. As long as from the offset, we make it clear and keep communication channels open. In the grand scheme of things, a bit like obviously you said, Perrie, the 10-month one and the 1-year one, if it's potentially going to be a family home for the next 15, 16, 17 years, 10 months in the grand scheme of things isn't that long, and it allows people to get their ducks in a row. So yes, it seems really daunting, and yes, we can say this to you, but trust me, it does happen. It's just you've got to obviously invest in the right agent. In terms of final words, Jim, do you have any final words?
Well, autumn's destiny is probably to remain the underrated season. I would say definitely the time of year to find a buyer. I would say, but for those that in the know, this golden season really holds several unique benefits when it comes to to sell in your home. I would definitely say that. That's probably my final thoughts on this. It definitely is one of the most underrated seasons. Perrie.
Yeah, my final thought would be, as well as it being the underrated season, it's a magical time as well to capture your garden in your home. It's a real good opportunity for you to hit the market running as well, while you've not got that much competition in regards to the selling, because everyone else is waiting till spring. So go now. You'll never know what's going to happen until you test it. And our theory is test it. Let's reach for the stars and catch the moon on the way down.
Yeah, definitely. Sophie, last word with you.
Final words for me is, if you are considering it, then start watching the Fife weekly update, because that'll start to give you a great insight in the numbers. And I do the roundup for you, but there you are literally dealing with facts, and you can see the figures for Fife itself. And then you'll naturally start to see where it is slowing down the competition, but you'll also still see where the buyers are. So my final thoughts is, do your homework and start watching the updates so you can see the Fife figures.
Perfect. It costs the seller nothing to get us out to get their free advice, does it?
Nope.
And for me personally, you're better to start your journey earlier, sooner rather than later. Because if you're convinced your house is going to sell quick and it doesn't, and you've gone later, you will be completing in summer next year or spring. That is not what your objective is. So you'd be better to get the advice first, way beforehand, so you can plan to make sure your move goes as smoothly and as relaxed as it possibly could be. And on that note, I'm going to my bed. I feel all relaxed. Thanks very much for coming on the show, guys. Really appreciate it. As again, click on the link above or below if you need an insight into this. If you need to speak to us, please feel free to contact any one of us numbers, or you can just message us direct on these posts. We do get them almost 24/7. Yes, I never sleep. Until next time, guys, it's bye-bye from us. Bye-bye for now.
Take care.
Now, bye.